you worked with Anthony Hopkins as well.
Yeah.
How was it? How was the experience?
That was pretty amazing, honestly. That was one of my first jobs.
It was Red 2, yeah?
Red 2, yeah. He was so cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I'm not just saying that because, he's a legend and all that, but
which he is.
He is 100% a legend.
Yeah.
He was just beyond generous. He's just a guy.
Yeah.
And he's a nice guy. And this was my second or third film job. But I'm nervous, because it's Anthony Hopkins. Go to set. I'm in the makeup trailer. And I'm doing my makeup. They're doing not much, whatever, combing my hair. And it's 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I hear, Nathan, is Nathan in there? Where's Nathan? And it's fucking Anthony Hopkins. He's like, Nathan Wiley, where is he? And I'm like, oh my God, this is happening. And he comes in and he sits down next to me. And he's got like a couple of people with him, his team or whatever. Obviously some PA was like trying to wrangle him and take him somewhere. And he was like, no. And he comes and finds me. And he's like, sits down right here. And he's like right in my face. He's like, it's so nice to meet you. And he's like, I can't do an Anthony Hopkins impression, but he's like, it's so nice to meet you. I've been listening to your music all morning. And I was like, I like swallowed and I was like, oh. And in my head, I'm thinking, damn, I gotta tell Anthony Hopkins that he looked up the wrong Nathan Wiley.
Just so you know, if you don't know, there is a musician, Nathan Wiley.
Yeah, he's Canadian and he's very good. And I tip my hat to him. No worries, bro. Change your name if you want. That'd be great.
He's much older than you, though, as well. No,
we have the same complexion.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's a folk singer and he's great.
Yeah.
His music's great. And anyway, Anthony Hopkins is so stoked. He's like, dude, your music's amazing. It's so poetic and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, fuck my life, And so I said to him, I'm really sorry, Mr. Hopkins. He's like, shut up, call me Tony. I'm like, all right, I'm really sorry, Tony, but... Oh, he goes, I remember he was like, did you fly in from Canada? I was like, oh, this hurts. I was like, I'm so sorry. Tony, I'm not that Nathan Wiley. Mm-hmm. And I just remember him being so crestfallen, He was like, oh... like I'm this massive disappointment, So disappointed. He wanted to talk poetry and music and all this stuff with me. And I'm like, dude, I can play baseball. Like I can surf. This was it. So I felt awful, and I was like, it's a wrong Nathan Wiley or whatever. And he was like, he took a minute. He took that in and was like, well, processing whatever that meant to him. And then he fully snapped out of it. He fully recovered. He was like, oh, my mistake. I'm so sorry. But anyway, it's so nice to meet you. Mm-hmm. Where are you from? We had this great conversation. He sat right there, talked to me for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we parted ways and got ready, came back on set. And we had a long day. It was a long day. There was a lot of extras. We're on this plane in this airport. It's fucking freezing. Because there wasn't a lot of like dialogue to do. It was more technical stuff. Yeah. We spent the entire day in this tent together, back and forth, talking literature, films, history. Like history was a big one, poetry, just talking about all this stuff. And Hopkins is just so cool and so generous and was like genuinely engaged. We're talking about all this other stuff, nothing to do with the movie. Mm-hmm. And it was just bliss. Like I just spent the day with these guys, with Anthony Hopkins, with Neil McDonough. And we go into film, and this is really cool. We go into film, and they're running low on time. This is taking way too long. They're not us, but the extras, the plane, the specifics, the sound, whatever, they're behind on the day. They set up, and they did the shots of Hopkins in the cage. He's in a cage, and in the scene, he basically has a little doohickey in his shoe, pulls out a toxic gas, drops it on the floor, and we all die. But I catch him before he drops the gas, and I tell him, I try to stop him. What are you doing? Whatever. We film everything on Tony with like my pistol arm coming through, like, you know, dirtying the shot. We film everything on him, and they're like, great, let's move on. They've done no coverage of me. And I don't know, it probably wasn't intentional, but I will never forget, Tony turns around and he goes, no, we got to film Nathan.
Nice.
And he's like, we're filming Nathan, we need it for the scene. So they were like, oh shit, okay. And they switched around. And then I got a couple close-ups.
Yeah.
Because of Anthony Hopkins.
Nice.
So I'll never forget that, dude. That was huge.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I was probably 23 or something at the time, and it was just like, what a fucking legend.
Yeah.
And he didn't, like, he knew the lines, but he just kind of said his interpretation of the lines, which was just beautiful. And he was free.
Yeah.
And he was just, you know, saying, I remember he said something like, you shouldn't point that silly thing at me. I think the line was, don't point the gun at me, you know? And it was like, that's way better.
Yes.
You know?
That's amazing. Yeah.
So it was just a treat, dude. Red 2 was cool. That was a cool experience.